Welcome back to What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur. I'm Vincent Lanci, speaker and author of the book Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption. Want to know what it's really like to be an entrepreneur? Well, you came to the right place. Whether you're already an entrepreneur or looking to start your journey tomorrow, or just someone who needs a little extra motivation to get through the day, this is the perfect podcast for you. This is the place where you will learn exactly what it's like in the world of entrepreneurship and hear authentic stories of entrepreneurs grinding on each episode. My goal for this podcast is to help you realize that giving up is never an option. If you missed the last episode, be sure to download it after you tune in today. Before I introduce my guest, I'll share another entrepreneurial story to inspire you all. I am going to share the entrepreneurial journey of someone who is one of the most famous names in music in Elvis Presley. Everyone knows his name, but not as many know his story and his background, so I'm happy to share this article from Tuts Plus. Elvis was living near the poverty line during the early years of the Great Depression. His mother was a sewing machine operator and his father worked on some farms. The whole family lived in a 2-room shotgun-style house that they were only able to make ends meet because of a loan from a local dairy farmer. What made things worse was his father getting sentenced to prison for forging an $8 check. But fast forward to 1946, Elvis got his first guitar for a birthday present, and then the family moved to Memphis because they were tired of struggling. They arrived in Memphis broke and could only move into a 1-bedroom apartment in the poor part of the city. They were soon accepted for public housing and relocated, but that's not a major step up. Elvis got motivated by all these family difficulties, eventually became a truck driver after graduation, and this is where it all changed. They stopped at the Memphis recording service to tape a birthday record for his mother's birthday present. He went back for a few sessions and eventually caught the eye of Sam Phillips. For you in the music world, you know who he is, who then introduced him to guitarist Scotty Moore, and history was made. So Sam Phillips was a major producer in the 1950s who played a vital role in the transition phase of making rock and roll popular. Joey D, what'd you like best about that story?
I think I like the best of, where he came from. I mean, I think the underdog story will always be, everyone's favorite thing to listen about. Taking, a hard life and then in due time, becoming the biggest icon of all time. So, I mean, I think we're all attracted to, the whole underdog. I have very little and accomplish so much. So I think, all those kinds of stories will always have my attention,
Love it. The voice you just heard is the sound of today's guest, and the guest on the show today is someone I used to play baseball with as a kid, and now is following his dream and is making a name for himself. He has created a huge following, and you will hear his name today and soon in the headlines tomorrow. He's an extremely hard worker who's been on this entrepreneurial journey for years and is definitely paying off. I'd like to introduce Joe Digilio, or as I call him, Joey D. Thanks for joining my podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Everybody's doing good, I hope.
Joey, why don't you please introduce yourself and then share our listeners a little bit of your story before we start the questions today.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Joe Digilio. My music goes by Joseph Dominic. So if you guys want to take a listen, Joseph Dominic, Spotify, everything you need. I come from Northport, New York. I was an athlete my whole life. Very, very big soccer player. Played baseball. Was a big wrestler as well. And then somewhere along the way, it turned into music, where the sports kind of stopped being my number one priority, and then my drive, my passion for music and singing specifically, really took over my mind and consumed me. I wanted to perform. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to make music. I always would watch, other singers, other performers do this, and I would always be like, I can do it. I can do this too. So, for me to get to play New York City shows, I've played in LA, I've played pretty much all over. So for me, it's about finding your passion, really sticking with it. I mean, you got to find, your passion. And as an entrepreneur, you gotta stay very, very disciplined on the ups and downs. I mean, the music business is up and down. People come along, they promise you everything, and they want, they want to check. It's like, so it's about staying consistent. That's the most thing that I've learned with, the little success that I have so far, as a man in the music business. So I really like to
Abs-
say, like consistency is really what's, opened the doors for me personally.
Yeah, Joey, well, you're doing great. And something I do on each episode is called the Big Five. Each episode, my guests and I will go over these 5 questions to help you, the listeners, learn what it's really like to be an entrepreneur. You ready to go, my man?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Great. So you may have touched on it a bit with the sports. Maybe it's something different, but when did you realize that you weren't happy with what you were doing, or you just needed that change to truly start this entrepreneurial journey full time, head over heels?
Yeah, good question. It took over my mind. I mean, I used to manage restaurants for a long time too. I used to manage restaurants. I used to serve all the time, and I would think about, my passions there, and I was like, this isn't me. I'm not a restaurant manager. I'm not. That's not who I am. I would be there doing all the work, and I'd be in the back of my head. I'm always thinking like, I should be performing. I should be using my talent. I should be using the skills that God gave me. So it came to a point where I was like, I quit my job. I quit doing that for a while, and I was like, I need to get busy doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's where that one went.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to give our listeners a little more insight, you do some singing, right? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, no, yeah, I've been singing. I've been singing since I was in middle school. Not very good, of course. Playing like the variety shows, like doing all that stuff, the little mixers and stuff at in middle school and stuff. I was playing a lot of those little shows growing up, and then in high school, I did like the more variety shows, a little acting in some classes, and that's really where it started to take over. I was really busy with sports, but it really took over right around high school age, where I was like, I'm a great soccer player, I'm a great athlete, but I'm way more passionate about music.
Yeah.
So once I really figured that out, I start from zero, starting a following, starting, sending all your music, your live performances to different places, and, getting a website and dealing with all the music ups and downs, and, the people that get in your face and promise you the world, and, all that stuff. So you got to really you really have to have a passion for what your craft is, what your art is, whatever you're really pushing for. Because there's going to be people, there's going to be these little roadblocks. Every direction there's another roadblock. So you got to really,
That's the
you know,
truth.
if that's what you really want to do, stay consistent, handle the roadblocks, breathe, and keep doing it. Like when I got on stage, all the pain, all my life issues, all that stuff goes away. I'm doing my thing, So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
living
well,
good.
you left the restaurant manager, and I commend you because a lot of people, some it may be not believing in yourself enough, being scared to just take that jump from something so secure, guaranteed, to actually following your passion as an entrepreneur. What are one or two of the most difficult parts you'd say?
You're always going to worry about money. So if you're gonna quit your job and dive into your passion, you always have to remember to support yourself. So
Yeah.
obviously you can't be too stupid. But slowly come with a plan. I made a plan. I found a good manager at the time. I found some good PR people that were helping me get stuff, building my website, building a brand. Building this whole new thing that I want to do. So
I
yeah, the
love it.
hardest thing, is to stay focused. A lot of distractions in life, a lot of different things. And money's the other thing. Like money comes and goes. Money is just to get you from somewhere to next. So a lot of people get caught up in making money too, and they forget their passions. So I really didn't want to do that because it came to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is not me. Like, yes, I'm making good money. Yes, I'm surviving, but it's not me. So you
I
really
agree
have
with
to
you.
bite that bullet and stay consistent.
Well, there's temptations everywhere, especially at our age. People are still going out, and you know what? You have to keep your eye on the goal. You're trying to build something from the ground up that isn't done before. You're not just getting a paycheck. It's all you. So you take 3 days off to go party. That plus recovery, you're wasted a week.
Wasted a whole week. And the other thing is, I tell myself too, like when a lot of my boys they go away to do their things, and I'm grinding. It's like I tell myself because obviously I want to be there with my boys. I'll party when I've really earned it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to really earn. I want to do so much, and then have a reason to, you know, fuck around for a good week straight. Going to binging.
Down here at the time of this recording, I've been working head down for 2 months or so, and then I have a bachelor party coming up, which is cool. So if I have a reason to go away, like I like to do these small little vacations or. Because if I'm going out for no reason, I think to myself, I wasted not only the money that could go towards marketing or go towards my
That's the other
business.
thing.
Yeah.
Living on Long Island, especially. I mean, nothing's cheap. So you gotta use your head, spend your money right. Like when I spent a lot of my personal money on my craft,
Yeah,
on my
same.
music stuff. And there's a bunch of different stuff that just jump in your face like, oh, this is another fee. This is another fee.
Oh
So,
man, every day it's
you know,
something.
and when you go to a bar, it's like I'm thinking the same thing. It's like that's something that I could use for my life though, like for my passion for, you know, to feel good, you know.
Well, on this podcast, that's one of the many goals I have to promote that, being smart with your craft, learning your craft, being smart with your money, second
Yeah.
guessing. I think it was an earlier episode. I think it was Mr. Gorman. One of the Gormans said, I look at it, and if it doesn't make me better, I don't buy it. Like if I
Yeah.
see it, and that's, it's, but it's the truth, Joey. If you had to think back a bit, what is one of your greatest failures or lessons learned?
It took every failure to learn. You know, you need to fill up shows. If you don't fill up shows, no, the places, they're not gonna have you back. You gotta make sure you sell. You gotta make sure you bring in stuff. You know, that's one piece of the puzzle. The other piece of the puzzle is getting all the music recorded the way you want it. Like I had producers telling me how to record my own stuff, where it was like, you don't know, like this is my crap. This is how I do it. Like you don't tell me how to do my crap like that. So there was a lot of things with my first project with City Alley that was like shit. This is horrible, man. Like this is not. So yeah, there's always roadblocks. There's always serious failures. I mean, showing up to gigs where my bassist or my guitarist didn't show up when I had to deal with that. Where it's like, yeah, I guess I could just sing all night by myself, with the drums. But like, yeah, so it's like, so there's so many failures I can really think of. I mean,
Part of entrepreneurship, though, is something where you learn that you're going to fail 9.99 out of 10. People that say, failure is 1 or 2 no's or something. I could send out 50 emails, and if I even get 10% heard back, that's failing 90%.
Think about like when we were younger, like in a bar, like it took like going up to 10 girls to get one yes. You know what I mean? Like think about it like that. It's like the same thing. Like you got to try, you got to push yourself, and all that matters at the end of the night, you got that one yes, you got that one number, you got that one thing going on. Like, and at the end of the day, you won.
I love the way you said it before too, with the lesson learned for you, how you have to fail to learn the lesson with City Alley. That's the way it is. You don't know how to do it because there's no textbook for entrepreneurship.
No, I mean the thing is too. Like I'm a young dude still. I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to the busier side of the music business and all that stuff, and how much money it tolls, and yeah, I can keep going.
That's the truth, man, for sure. If you could choose to have one conversation, Joe, with any entrepreneur, we're talking dead or alive, any industry, what are you doing? Who are you speaking with? Paint the picture for everybody listening on.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so one of my favorite rock bands of all time, since I was a little kid now, since I first heard them play, was a band called Alter Bridge. Alter Bridge has a frontman named Miles Kennedy. Miles Kennedy also right now plays with Slash. Slash like will only play with him now. I would he's literally the best singer I've ever heard. Like,
well, if this could go down, where do you want it to happen?
I don't know. Maybe his backyard or something. Just chilling. Like, I don't know.
Hanging out.
Yeah, maybe like you know what? Let's get drunk. I'd get drunk with Miles. Fuck it. Let's go get drunk with Miles.
That sounds fun, man. All right. Well, now let's look into the future, Joe. Future head out. Where do you see yourself in all of your entrepreneurial endeavors 1 year and 5 years from today? Let's start with 1 year. What are we seeing from Joey D? Is there something besides music? What's going on?
In 5 years, yeah, I'd like to settle down. I think that, I'd like to settle down at that point, maybe some marriage, maybe some kids, but obviously still performing. I mean, that's something that I learned with the failure of City Alley was the fact was I need this. I need to keep it going. So always performing, always singing.
Yeah. So what are the biggest goals for the next year?
To stay active, to get a lot more music out there, a lot more new music out there for people to listen to. I have a great following. People are really active with me, very respectful, very loving. So I'd really like to give that back to them constantly. Like, when I don't make any music, people are DMing me asking, like, what's going on? Are you good? Are you sick? Like, so I'd like to stay active and make sure everybody gets the music that I can create,
Absolutely. You're doing a great job putting the content out. But, Joe, thanks so much for joining me. It was great catching up with you today. I know our listeners are going to see all the value in our episode today. I enjoyed learning about how you gave us those failures and how you broke it down and said, hey, you're going to fail. It took all of these times failing to then build my own brand.
I mean, think about all every successful person you look up to. Like think about some of the actors, actresses, singers, performers, all different arts and crafts. Like, dude, they all say the same thing: failure. If you're gonna be weak with failure, then find something that you'll be a little more safe. And so you got to get as comfortable with failure as you can. I mean, that's it.
Joe, it's time for the last word. Is there something you want to share with our listeners today that we didn't touch on yet?
Yes, everybody. I have a new EP and some new music coming out in probably 2-3 weeks. I got some live videos coming out. They're really good. Some new photos. So follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Joseph Dominic 1.
Be sure to check out Joe on all that social media. And remember to check out the show on Instagram and Facebook at your favorite morning podcast and on Twitter at Podcasts by Lanci. My handles are at Vincent A. Lanci on all social media and YouTube, and my website is vincentalanci.com. Make sure to grab my book, Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption, on Amazon now, but DM me or email me. I want to hear what you think. If you enjoyed today's episode, please continue listening and rate what it's really like to be an entrepreneur 5 stars. I work hard to find value-delivering stories for you on each episode. As always, I will follow the last word with a quote that inspired me, and I know it will for you too. Keep your face always toward the sunshine, and shadows will fall behind you. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all on the next episode of What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur.